Your Aura components can have attributes, and these attributes make your component more reusable, and they are mostly used to store the client-side data. And by client-side I mean the browser here. We can say that an Aura attribute is somewhat similar to the variable in an Apex class. You can store some values in these variables and you can access them wherever you want, and you can change the value of these variables, and based on that you can run your own computations. The attributes are very helpful because when we talk about the front end, what we mean is the user interaction. And when the user interacts with your website or with your web application, he needs to supply some data and he needs to get some data back from your UI as well. So in those cases, your attributes will be the best place to store this user data or supply it back to the user. Now, similar to Apex class variables, Aura attributes also have some syntax. So this is a syntax that you need to use in order to create an attribute inside your Aura component. First of all, you need to use the component called Aura:attribute, and then it has some attributes itself. For example, you need to give your attribute a name using the name attribute here. I know I'm saying attribute a lot, but this is what it is. To create an attribute, you need to use attributes. So in order to create an Aura attribute, you need to define the name of the attribute, the type of the attribute, which is very similar to the data type of your variable. For example, if you want to store the string, or if you want to store a number, or maybe a list, set or map, then you will define it inside the type attribute. Then the access, which is again very similar to the variables. Here the access can be private, public or global. By default this access is public, but if you want you can change it to private or global. If your attribute has the public access, then anyone or any component inside your Salesforce org can access this attribute. If it is private, then only the component in which this attribute is defined will have access to this attribute. And if it is global, then this can be accessed outside your own Salesforce org as well. This means if you have some managed package installed in your Salesforce org, they can also access this attribute. Just remember the default access is public. Now you can also define a default value using the default attribute, and there is one more attribute called required, which determines if your attribute is required or not. If you mark it true, then you will not be able to save your component, or you will not be able to access your component without supplying the value in this attribute. Now out of these 5 different properties of an attribute, the name and the type properties are the mandatory ones. The access, default and required are the optional ones. So if you want to create an attribute, at least you need to give it a name and you need to give it a type. Now let's take a look at all the different types of data that we can store in an attribute. You can have a Boolean attribute, which means the type equals to Boolean. You can have a date, date time, decimal, double, integer, long or a string attribute as well. So this means you can store all these type of values. Apart from this, you can have an attribute to store a JavaScript function as well, and the type of this attribute will be function. You can also store your JSON objects or any type of object in attributes using the object data type. You can also use your standard or custom objects as type as well. So in this case, you will simply pass your standard or custom object's name as the attribute type. Not only that, you can also store the list, map or set in an Aura attribute. So this is very similar to the variables in your Apex class, because we have seen these things before as well. We have seen these things when we were talking about the variables in Apex class. So just relate your attributes to the Apex class variables, and this will make it easier to understand. Now we are going to go back to our VS Code and we are going to make some changes to our board panel component. So here we need to create a combo box with these 3 values called easy, medium and hard, and we need to create 2 buttons as well. So I'm going to copy this code from my component library. Now here I need a button with blue background. So I think I need this 3rd button. So I'm going to copy it. and then I'm going to go back to my VS Code and I'm going to paste it inside my Lightning card. So make sure that you paste it inside the Lightning card, not outside it. For now, I'm going to remove this onClick handler and let's change the label to, what is the label of our button? Yeah, start new game. Let's change our title as well. And we are going to use the variant as brand only. So it's only about the variant which changes the look and feel of your button. So if you change the variant to success, then you will see the green background. If you change it to destructive, then you will see the red background. Now along with this button, we need one more button which is called reshuffle. For now you cannot see it, but you will be able to see it when we start playing the game like this. So we need one more button and this time we need neutral variant. So I'm going to copy the second button from here and I'm going to paste it again just beside my previous button. Now if you notice, we do not have a variant attribute here, and that's because the default variant of a Lightning button is neutral only. So it doesn't matter if you define neutral here or not, because the default value is neutral. And if you are wondering how do I know it, you need to go to the specification tab here and let's check the variant attribute. This should be right here. So here you will see that this value defaults to neutral. So it doesn't matter if you copy this code, paste it here and change it to neutral. So it will be same. So if you remove it, it will still be neutral. And along with these two buttons, we also need a combo box, right? So now I'm going to search combo box here and I'm going to copy this code. Now here let's paste it just beside our Lightning button. Let's remove the onChange handler and let's remove these options as well. Here let's change the placeholder to select game mode. Let's give it a label as maybe game mode and that should be it. Maybe change the name as well. Now this label will be displayed on top of the combo box. This value here is the selected value inside the combo box, and this placeholder is something that displays when there is no value selected inside this combo box. So that's it. We already have our board panel component, and all we need to do now is to deploy this component to our Salesforce org. So here we see our combo box and we also see two of our buttons. But the look and feel is not how we want it, because we want our buttons and the combo box in the same line and they should be centrally aligned instead of taking all the space here. So we are going to work on that in our next video. For now, we are going to focus on adding some value inside our combo box, because if I click on it, nothing shows up, right? But in my other Salesforce org, I can see some values here. Even in the component library, I can see these values here. So how these values are coming? These values are coming from this aura attribute, which is of type list. So here we have a list of different values which we are passing inside this combo box. So we are going to use the similar pattern. I'm going to copy this aura attribute and I'm going to paste it here. So first we need to give our aura attribute a name. So I'm going to name it as modes. We are going to leave the type as list only, and then here we are going to change some values. So this is the default value of this attribute. So if you do not change this value, then the framework will pick up the values from this default attribute. So first we are going to change the label to easy. Let's change the value to easy as well. Then we are going to have medium and hard as well. So do you think this should be enough? Do you think now we will be able to see these values inside our combo box? Let's try it out. First let's deploy this to our Salesforce org and we will see if we can see these values inside our combo box or not. So even though we have an aura attribute, we still do not see our values. What could be the reason? The reason is we are not passing these values to our combo box. And to pass this value to our combo box, we need to use the options attribute inside the combo box, which is going to pick the options from the attribute we are going to define here. So let's add that. Maybe I'm going to add that in the next line. And now if you want to supply some value to this options attribute, first of all you need to use the double quotes. And now within these double quotes you need to start your curly braces. That is the syntax that we need to follow. And after that you need to use an exclamatory mark. Then V dot the name of the attribute. Now you must be wondering, what is this V here? The V is called the value provider, which supplies the value of an attribute to this particular combo box. Now our combo box has three values like easy, medium and hard. Let's save our code and let's deploy our component once again. Let's clear the cache and reload the page. So here if you click on this combo box now, you will see that all of our values are listed here and we can change any of these values. So this is how you can use an aura attribute and access it within the markup using the value provider. Just remember the syntax that first you need to have the double quotes, then the curly braces, then this exclamatory mark, then the value provider which is V, then dot and then your attribute name. We can play more with the aura attributes inside our hello world component as well. So here in our hello world component we have too much of plain text. So now we are going to simplify it and we are going to use our aura attributes, and instead of using these tags here we are going to access the values of the aura attributes. So we are going to create it just after our aura component tag, because your aura attributes should be the direct child of the aura component tag. So it will be like aura attribute. Then remember, name is compulsory, so you need to give it a name. So let's name it as maybe greeting. And then you also need to give the type. So the type would be string, and let's give it a default value which should be hello world. Now if you want to access the value of this greeting attribute, we need to follow the similar syntax. You need to remove this hello world from here and use curly braces, then your exclamatory mark, then the value provider which is V dot the attribute name which is greeting. And then we can give the same label to our button as well. So this means we can use an attribute multiple times. So I'm going to copy it from here, I'm going to paste it here. Let's paste it inside the body as well. So we'll see hello world everywhere. Let's save this code and let's refresh our page. So just focus on the hello world component on the right hand side, and all these hello worlds are coming from our aura attribute. If you want to have more attributes, we can totally do that. For example, let's have a number aura attribute. The type should be integer, or if you want to store a double or long, you can do that as well. Let's give it a default as 11 and we can access it right here. So it will be like hello world space, then I'm going to access the value of my number test attribute using my value provider v dot number test. Now you must be wondering why I'm not having the double quotes here. The reason is, if you want to access the attribute value inside these properties or attributes, then you need to use the double quotes. But if you are using them inside the plain markup, that means if they are not within the attributes, then you do not need to use the double quotes. but you still need to use your curly braces, the exclamatory mark, the value provider, the dot and the attribute name. Let's have one more attribute, and this time we are going to have a Boolean attribute. And did I mention Aura framework is a case sensitive framework. So you need to take care of the letters that you are typing, because this number test is not same as the number test here. Because the T is capital in the first one, in the second one it's in small. So you need to make sure that you are taking care of these cases. And most of the issues that you are going to have in your Aura components will be related to these spelling mistakes that you will be doing. So make sure that you check it carefully. Now let's name this attribute as Boolean test. The type should be equals to Boolean and default value should be equals to maybe false. And we are going to access this value as well using our value provider. And let's save this code. And here I think I got my very first issue, which says no component named markup Aura attribute found. So here I have a mistake, right? Instead of using attribute, I have typed Aura attribute, which is completely wrong. So let's correct it. Let's save our code one more time. Go back to our home page and refresh it. So here we see hello world, then our number which is 11, then our Boolean variable which is false. So this is how you can declare the variables inside your Aura component, and this is how you can access them inside your markup. So that's all in this video. In the next video, we are going to learn about the layouts in Aura components.